someone ever says to you, or you hear someone say something along the lines of, just get over it already, or gosh, people are so weak, or what's wrong with you? Essentially, all these versions of just get over your trauma. Just get over your trauma already. How are you so upset about this? How is this something that bothers you? Why aren't you just better? Just be better. You're so weak and small and fragile. If anyone ever says anything like that to you, or if you witness anything like that, just know that's their trauma talking. That is what that is. That's their trauma expressing. That's their trauma that got triggered by you doing what they were taught not to do, which is express it, which is acknowledge it, accept it, look at it, hold it in the light, hold it in love, give yourself grace and space and acceptance. All of that is profoundly triggering to somebody who was taught, whether they're aware of it or not, that wasn't safe to do, that was a form of weakness, which means therefore not safe. If it's a weakness, it's perceived as a threat. It's perceived as a threat because it doesn't feel safe. So witnessing somebody doing that triggers their trauma, and that's how it expresses. I guarantee you, whether or not that person can consciously remember or is remotely aware of it, at some point in their very early life, they were told not to feel. They were in a situation where they experienced something upsetting, because that's all trauma is. It doesn't have to be, certainly things are traumatic, like violent physical abuse and sexual abuse. Obvious situations like that, yeah, that's trauma for sure. But that's not the only thing that is traumatic when it's experienced. It's just something that was upsetting to you, something that elicited some kind of feeling of being unloved, of being abandoned, rejected. All of that is trauma, something that was just upsetting to you. You didn't even know why, it just hurt inside. And instead of facing and feeling those emotions, letting that be experienced in the moment, you were in an environment where it was made clear that it wasn't safe to do that. You were rejected for your emotional experience in that moment, and so you learn to reject it within yourself. And what you reject in yourself, you reject in other people, because we're all the same self. And that's how you can tell, and it's a great reflective tool to notice what is it that you judge in others, because that's what you're judging in you. So if there is a rejection of other people's experience of trauma, of other people's experience and expression of challenging emotions like grief, sadness, anger, depression, anxiety, then you can know that's what's being rejected in the individual who is projecting that judgment outwards. It's actually a judgment of their own self that's being projected. So that's their trauma talking. That's them exposing. I had an experience at some point in my life where I learned not to accept emotion, especially sadness, especially pain, grief, whatever it was. Somewhere, somebody told me that wasn't allowed. And they said, suck it up. Get over it. You're too sensitive. You're too much. In some way, I was made to feel inappropriate and wrong for feeling this. And now, that's what I do. I just absorbed that narrative. I took that voice and I internalized it and made it my own. And now that's the story that I've been telling and perpetuating. Is that it's not safe and it's not appropriate to feel hurt. And the whole time, every time that I see somebody else feeling hurt, especially when they're doing something about it, when they're expressing it, when they're open, when they're honoring it, that triggers my hurt. And what's my pattern? I shut it down. So I see it outside of me and I try to shut it down there because that's a response to what I'm feeling in here. You're making my hurt bigger. And I don't know how to handle it because I was never taught how to handle it. I only know repress and hide and run and shame it, threaten it into submission. That is the definition of toxic masculinity. It has nothing to do with that. That is such a, it's a buzzword. I know. It has nothing to do with gender. It has nothing to do with men, with anyone in any type of male body. It's not related to any of that. It's energy. Toxic masculine energy is that which shuts down emotion, because emotion is feminine energy. Again, not related to gender. Toxic masculinity is practiced by the majority of human beings, regardless of gender or gender expression in modern society. That is what we've been born into and raised up within, is this overpowering, domineering masculine voice which says, don't feel. You're not allowed to feel. You're certainly not allowed to share those feelings. For whatever reason, all kinds of reasons, it will come up with 1,000,001 reasons why that's not okay, why it's not safe again. Because that's the only reason that it would be called inappropriate, is because at the end of the day, at the end of that string of reasoning, it doesn't feel safe. There's fear there. It is fear-based. So please feel. Please feel all of the things. And if you were ever in a situation where you experience or witness somebody expressing something that would shame you or anyone out of feeling, recognize, have the awareness in that moment to understand that's what they were told. That's what they were taught. That's them right now shaming their own feelings. They're talking to themselves. They may not realize it. They think they're talking to you and telling you not to feel. They're speaking to themselves, repeating that same story. That is that same voice. That's not even them talking. That's not how they actually feel. That's not them. That is a voice in their head that has temporarily possessed them because of their identification with it, because again, they've internalized it. They've taken it on as their own. They've been telling this story for so long. They've made it a part of their self, who they think they are. But who they think they are is not who they are. And that is that voice speaking to them, not you, and saying, because they're in that moment witnessing your experience, your expression, that is triggering their trauma. And that voice comes out and says, suck it up. How are you so weak? How are you not over this? What's wrong with you? You're so broken. Can you hear how that's a projection? It's not even really directed at you. It is directed at themselves. And knowing that, bringing that awareness into the situation, you can embrace that person with true compassion that sees in this moment they are wrapped up in their own narrative, in their own trauma, And that's what they're rejecting. And you can hold that person in love and acceptance, which is what they never got and never had modeled for them. You get to be the one to do that. You get to have that chance in that moment of that interaction to say, I accept you exactly as you are right now. You may say that you're not accepting me. That may be what you're projecting. And I feel in myself my own egoic response to that. But I'm holding enough space to witness that and to witness you and to see the bigger picture here. That this is how this cycle repeats. This is how this pattern got started in the first place. This is why it's perpetuated. And right now, it's going to stop. It stops with me. I'm not going to carry that forward. I'm not going to keep telling the story that you've been telling. I'm going to stand here and tell a different story. And that story is, it's okay to feel what you feel. I'm allowed to feel what I feel, and you're allowed to feel what you feel. Right now. Right now, what you're feeling is not wrong. Whatever it is, it's not wrong. It's allowed. You're not wrong. Neither am I. Neither of us is. We're both right. Exactly as we are. There is enough space for both of us to just be this. We're not in competition. There's no argument here. I'm seeing past all of the surface level superfluous shit, the projection that I know I have participated in. Yeah, I've done that too. It still happens all the time. It's okay. Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't make me less worthy. Doesn't make me less loved. Same for you. I'm going to stand here and witness you in your experience of trauma. Trauma that you have so deeply repressed that you may not even be conscious that that's what you're experiencing right now. And that's okay. That doesn't make us any different. I'm not bigger or better or smarter or stronger than you because of this awareness. That's not what that means. I'm looking at myself. I'm looking at what I have inflicted upon myself throughout the course of human history. I am seeing myself as a child in the times when traumatic events occurred and I had no way or space to process them. And this is what happened. I took it all and I held it inside, and this is the result of that. And right now, I have the ability to look at that with fresh eyes and with so much love and understanding and compassion and just awareness. It's just awareness. There's no judgment here. I'm not looking down upon. We are at eye level. We're equal. We're on the same plane right now. Even though on the surface it might look like we're having vastly different experiences, it's the same experience. You're feeling pain. I've felt pain. I might be feeling it right now. We're the same. And we can just stand there in our sameness. In that space is full of loving acceptance, and that transmutes it. Nobody has to understand anything. There's no convincing. There's no words needed. It's not about trying to get a viewpoint across. It's not about saying any of this. All of this happens inside, standing there in this experience and holding the broader awareness of all of it as you're doing so, you're calling in all of this light. You're making space for all of it to just be, for that energy to just release. You're neutralizing it. You're giving it a chance to breathe, a chance that it's never had. And that's helping it release. You're helping trauma heal. Because it's not your trauma and my trauma, it's just trauma. It's all the same. It doesn't belong to me or to you. It's ours. And when I hold space for mine, I'm holding space for yours. And vice versa. And it heals together. It's never exclusive to one of us. When I'm healing myself, yourself is healed. When you're healing yourself, myself is healed. When I'm holding space for you, all of it collectively is being released and transmuted. That's how it works. And there's nothing that needs to be done. It's just standing there, being there, in awareness of what's taking place, and really just watching the magic, the beauty of this, of the human experience, of a self, feeling emotion, and expressing it. And you're being there to witness and allow it. So, that's it. Just something that I wanted to express. All of us have feelings that we've kept below the surface for whatever reason. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter the reason. There's 1,000,001 of them. They're irrelevant. It's time to let them be felt and to honor them in one another. To recognize when we've touched a pain point or had one triggered within us. And then just to let that energy flow the same way you let a muscle relax that's being triggered. That's all it takes. And the more that we relax our muscles, the more the collective muscles relax. The more other people relax. We're giving other people permission to relax, and vice versa. We're all helping each other out. We're doing this together. Whether or not we're aware of it. It's pretty cool. So, just know that the masculine energy is very triggered right now, and it's going to continue to be. And it's triggered because it has trauma. Give it space. Recognize that it's in pain and that it's allowed to feel. Give it what it's never had. Loving, unconditional acceptance of its being exactly as it is. Just some thoughts, just some feelings. Have a beautiful evening. And whatever you're feeling, it's perfect exactly as it is. And so are you.